What's going on, everybody? It's Monday night. The Slammies are about to start here in a couple of hours. Figured I would give you my 2012 Tables, Ladders, and Chairs review. Last pay-per-view of 2012 for the WWE. And quite frankly, I've seen and read and heard and pretty much everything else. Very mixed pay-per-view. The reason I say that is because some people loved the way that they did TLC at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Other people thought it was very underwhelming. Obviously, when you have your main attraction, CM Punk, on the shelf because of knee surgery, you don't get everything you want. TLC 2012, there were only, as I look over now towards the thing here, there were 8 matches. There were only 6 scheduled, so they threw in 2 different matches that were not scheduled at the time, and of course there was a dark match and a pre-show match, so I'll go over all of them. The dark match, which is normally where you start to slowly build guys up, not just a throw-in match, you'd think. We had JTG and David Otunga. JTG won. Hey, good, maybe we're burying David Otunga. Awesome. JTG's been a jobber for like 4 years. Pre-show match was the Santa's Little Helper Battle Royal for the #1 contendership. It came down to Naomi of the Funkadactyls, a.k.a. the girls that come out with Brodus Clay, and Caitlyn, in which Eve got involved and helped Naomi win the match. Great. That's just great. So now, we might have a pointless Divas Championship match later in the night. Great. Bravo, WWE. So, not that great of a start, not gonna lie. So our first match of the night, you want to get people excited for it. A #1 contenders match for the tag team titles between Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara versus the Rhodes Scholars, which of course the whole crowd chanted Cody's mustache throughout the entire match. One thing I will say about these 4 competitors is they work very well together. And as much as Sin Cara gets a ton of crap, well deserved by the way, nickname being of course Botch Cara, he and Rey Mysterio, even though they got beat up for most of the match, they worked very well with Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow, in which Damien Sandow's been known as being pretty stiff so far, for most of the time he's been in the WWE, but all 4 of these, I mean, Rey Mysterio is the consummate professional. He's been around. Cody Rhodes has great wrestling ability. Sin Cara is slowly getting better, and Damien Sandow is slowly becoming less stiff. At the end of the match, Sin Cara goes up for a high-flying move. Cody Rhodes pushes him off the top rope through a table. Your #1 contenders for Team Hell No's Tag Team Championships, which you'd think would be defended at the Royal Rumble coming up next month in Phoenix, are the Rhodes Scholars. Rhodes Scholars and Team Hell No should be a fantastic match, and I can't wait to see how they build that up. One thing I was not happy about is the fact that the announcers kind of blew it when they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have Cody Rhodes versus Kane on Superstars this week, or on Main Event, or whatever it's called." Way to just blow it. Yeah, they're not just gonna have a random match between the 2 of them, especially if Rhodes Scholars lost. Michael Cole. JBL, please stay on, because at least you'll keep Michael Cole in check long enough for him to not say too many moronic things on the air. Second match of the night, Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth for the United States Championship. This was the 3rd shortest match on the card. Yes, the 3rd shortest, and it was a title match. I get it. I really do. I get it. It's not a great title. They haven't built it that way. There's not a lot of prestige behind it. It's essentially a WCW belt. It's what it is. So Cesaro and Truth, they have a good back and forth. Truth tries to pin Cesaro about 12 times, and then Cesaro hits him with the European uppercut, and then the neutralizer, and that's your finish. Still waiting for a legitimate opponent for Antonio Cesaro. Can it please, please be Cassius Ohno? Bill him from Dayton, Ohio, which is where he's from, and have him be the first American to beat him. Just saying. Third match of the night, Kofi Kingston versus Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship, the prestigious mid-card belt. These two worked very well together. Normally when you have a high flyer and a big man, very few big men have great matches with high flyers. The Big Show does not get enough credit for putting on good matches with smaller guys. But he also just doesn't get enough credit for doing the things he does. He mostly just gets labeled as a guy that's there, that they have to put in feuds, that just doesn't wrestle well with other people. I disagree. Wade Barrett, Kofi Kingston, they go back and forth. Wade Barrett, I still think they are pushing him towards the big belt. And so I thought maybe they'd give him the Intercontinental title for a month or two and then build him up. But there are other plans amiss here. Kofi Kingston gets out of the bullhammer because he gets locked up like this and then pulled around. He gets out of it and pulls off Trouble in Paradise and pins Wade Barrett in a very good finish. I projected Wade Barrett to win the match, but I'm very happy that Kofi Kingston is still the champion, because if you keep him on the belt, you give him more credibility to make him a better performer in your company. So I like the decision as long as there's a purpose for Wade Barrett losing, which, in my Royal Rumble projections, I might pick Wade Barrett to win. Just saying. Because without Dolph Ziggler's elbow crushing him, or I should say, Dolph Ziggler crushing his elbow, Wade Barrett might have already been champion. Just saying. Second longest match of the night by about 30 seconds, shorter than the main event, which I'll get to that in a second. The Shield, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns versus Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan, and Ryback. I was a little skeptical that this was a TLC match by pinfall or submission, which I guess it was pinfall or submission in the ring. Since that makes a ton of sense too, right? Anyway, I was very impressed by all 6 men in this match. Ryback, as much as the crowd loves him, before I get into it, New York is a very smart crowd. They will cheer for guys they like. They cheered for Wade Barrett even though he's the heel. They didn't boo Ryback, but we heard the Goldberg chants again. I believe they cheered Rhodes Scholars, and they also cheered Dolph Ziggler, even though he's supposed to be the heel, which I know that drives the WWE crazy when heels are cheered. I know it does. So, Ryback did his normal I'm the Terminator gimmick. Daniel Bryan and Kane, of course, worked very well off of each other. Roman Reigns took an enormous amount of beating in this match, and he still came up and performed very well. Seth Rollins is the only guy I was not very impressed with until he took the table bump at the end of the match. I was very impressed with Dean Ambrose, though. Not that I shouldn't have been, but I was very impressed with Dean Ambrose in the match. He did quite a bit of the work, but I was more impressed with Roman Reigns than I was of Seth Rollins. I thought Roman Reigns was not necessarily the dead weight, but I thought he was the third wheel of the group, and it might be Seth Rollins that's the third wheel of the group as of right now. So I projected that Dean Ambrose would pin Kane. Well, they did the super powerbomb move on Ryback on the Spanish announce table. He was out for a while, so they started beating up on Kane. Then, in quite possibly the funniest moment of the night, Roman Reigns spears Kane through the barricade, and then apparently boatloads of plastic barriers and chairs are enough for Kane to just not be able to move them for the rest of the match. In fact, might as well have just said, yep, Kane's dad. So it was Daniel Bryan against essentially all three of them for a while. Then Ryback comes back. Then the Shield does a very smart thing and gets Ryback away from the ring. And then they set up a table spot on the concrete, which that was never going to happen. So Ryback decides to chase after Seth Rollins on the biggest ladder out there and throw him through 4 tables, which he only went through 2, and I'm surprised Seth Rollins wasn't completely messed up after that spot because his head hit the back of one of the top tables. It wasn't as bad as Spike Dudley and La Resistance, but it looked bad. So that happened. Meanwhile, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns double-teamed on Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns pinned Daniel Bryan. Doesn't hurt Team Hell No, it doesn't hurt Ryback, and you keep the Shield relevant. Good job, WWE. This was, in my opinion, match of the night. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Ziggler-Cena match was good, and I'll get to it, but this was match of the night, bar none. Good show put on by the Shield, good debut show by the Shield at TLC. Then we had the impromptu Divas match from the Battle Royal from earlier, Eve against Naomi. The only thing I can say is that apparently one of Naomi's moves is, I'm going to jump in the air and hit your face with my ass. Eve wins easily in the shortest match of the night. Not a big surprise. Not a big surprise. The women's division is boring in the WWE right now. They really need to do something about that. They've slowly built the tag team division back, but their women's division is sorely lacking right now. Big Show versus Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship. Oh, before I get to that, because there was an impromptu match that was right after this match that probably confused most of you. Miz TV was on this pay-per-view, Snorvest, except for the fact that he brought out the 3-man band. Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, Jinder Mahal on a pay-per-view. Now, I've said this before. I'm not saying the gimmick's great. In fact, I'm not even saying the gimmick doesn't suck. I'm just glad these guys are getting television time. Because, quite frankly, Drew McIntyre is a very talented guy that people have seemed to just completely buried. Jinder Mahal is a guy that's worked very hard and has gotten better. And Heath Slater, I'd rather deal with him than The Miz. Yes, even the gyrations from Heath Slater and him being called the chick from Wendy's by John Cena all those years ago, he's growing on me. Slate is gonna slate. They were selling t-shirts of that, by the way. Not at the WWE event, but Slater's gonna slate. Hate is gonna hate. So the 3MB come out, they talk trash to Miz, they talk trash to the Spanish announce table, they talk trash to pretty much everybody. Then Ricardo Rodriguez comes out, they start badgering him. Then Alberto Del Rio comes out. So the 3MB challenge Alberto Del Rio and The Miz to a 3-on-3 match, so they have to get a partner. Alright, who's it going to be? I'll tell you in a second. Big Show and Sheamus in a chairs match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Very slow match. These two have had some good matches before. This one, was not as good. In a chairs match, there's very limited things you can do since it's not a TLC match, and it's essentially a hardcore match with chairs. I mean, you can have them beat the crap out of each other, but there's no real... Anyway. Sheamus misses the bro kick. He gets hit with the KO punch and kicks out. Can we please have finishers mean something? For God's sake. Look, if I get punched in the face by a 450-pound guy, I'm gonna get knocked out. Especially when his hand is bigger than Mike Tyson's. Believability. Anyway. Then Sheamus. I don't even want to go into it. Big Show wins. Big Show wins. And now we definitively know Dolph Ziggler's not cashing in. We definitively know that now. Well, Big Show was cashed in on a year ago at this event, so was champion for 45 seconds. So let's have somebody cash in on him again. Just saying. SmackDown has a very bad reputation of just having feuds that go for like 6 months. I have a bad feeling the Sheamus Big Show one is going to go on for another 3. So we have the impromptu match of The Miz and Alberto Del Rio and their mystery partner versus 3MB. Who comes out? Where's the event? That's right. Just think about it. Okay, here's your answer. The Brooklyn frigging Brawler, who hasn't wrestled in like over 10 years. And yes, it still makes me laugh when we see footage of the Brooklyn Brawler beating Triple H. Hilarious. Second shortest match of the night, the Brooklyn Brawler gets the pin and wins. So apparently now Miz and Alberto Del Rio are faces because 3MB talked trash to the Spanish announce table and Ricardo Rodriguez. Dumb. Dumb. The Miz is boring, and ADR's much better as a heel. I digress. And finally, the ladder match for Dolph Ziggler's Money in the Bank contract for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena. Good back and forth. Of course, the Cena sucks chants are all over the place. Let's go Ziggler chants. The crowd loved Ziggler. Back and forth, they both hit finishers. They both kick out of them. They both have good spots on the ladder. AJ Lee comes out. And, of course, when AJ Lee comes out after fawning over John Cena and the whole thing, and her gimmick is she's crazy, John Cena's about to win the match, and AJ Lee decides, let's push the ladder over and have John Cena lose. Dolph Ziggler retains his Money in the Bank contract, and that is the end of the pay-per-view. I would give this pay-per-view a B, almost B-. Loved the Shield. Loved the Kofi Kingston-Wade Barrett match. The tag team match was good. The women's match was boring. The Big Show Sheamus match, not that great. The impromptu 6-man tag match, unnecessary. Cesaro needs an opponent. And John Cena can't sell the fact that AJ, who's been fawning over him, that he's put so much effort into, just screwed him over, and he's smiling about it. I mean, I love John Cena, but come on! That's it for your TLC 2012 review. The Slammies are coming on. I might put out a video tonight doing the Slammies and maybe Raw. SmackDown is live Tuesday, so maybe I will have a video Tuesday or Wednesday, and of course enjoy Impact. And I believe the next TNA pay-per-view is in a couple of weeks, but I'll still be here. Thank you for watching the video. UnderTheWire85, I should have started with that, but I wanted to jump right into it because I needed to get this out. UnderTheWire85, come check it out, and hopefully you will watch old episodes on my YouTube page as well. Have a good night, everybody.